Hello guys, and welcome back to another video tutorial. Today we're going to be painting this owl beast, or owl bear if you want to call it that. It's a very beautiful model I have here. It's on a custom base that has some skeletons and bones and branches and stuff on it. We're going to be painting that as well. Our main colors for the owl beast are going to be warrior skin, ancient honey, noble skin, and probably some grim dark, no, grim black. I call it grim dark all the time. Green black. We got some variations of red here. We have for the base some colors here. Bony matter for the bones. We have goddess glow, which we're going to use on some areas of the terrain. We have ochre clay, same thing for some areas of the terrain, just to create a variation. And of course ashen stone for the larger stone pieces. So that's what we're going to use for the base. And these are going to be the colors that we're going to use for the owl beast. I have brushes here. You can probably paint the whole project with this one. In case you bought the paint sets and you have this one, just use that one. I have a larger and a smaller one here. A 1 and a 4. And I don't think we're gonna need more than this. The piece has been primed and then zentaled. As you can see, it is still dark underneath. I've just used a normal acrylic white for this job. So let's get to it. You're going to need one of these or a normal palette, right? I would not recommend using a wet palette with these colors unless you actually understand what water does to them, right? So if you're not using water, you don't know what it does, just use this one that comes with the set, or get yourself a plastic palette. We're gonna start with ancient honey, which is a very beautiful bright yellow, and we're gonna go on the beak. There we go. We're gonna do the claws here. It's not the actual claw that I'm interested in getting it on, but the skin right above the actual claws. I'm gonna try to avoid the feathers, but again, they're going to be brown, so if you do touch them, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't really matter. And the claws are gonna be a bit darker in color as well, so it doesn't matter if you touch them a bit with the yellow. That's why we're starting with this color, because it's a lot easier to hide it under the browns and the darker shades. And there we have those. Let me just grab it from the underside here. Although it is darker, we still want that yellow to taint the area. I think this yellow looks very beautiful. It's very vibrant. Yep, we're gonna do the same thing for the legs, the feet here. Yep. I'm gonna do the other one off camera because you've already seen me do all these elements, and I'll be right back. Right, so here's what it looks like after we've touched those elements with the yellow. Maybe just a bit more there. There we go. So we have the beak, we have the skin near the claws, both on the feet and the upper limbs, arms, whatever you want to call them. I think I'm gonna make its entire chest, this whole area, yellow as well. Right, so let's do that now. I'm trying to stay on top of the feathers, right? Not going underneath so that I don't touch the under layers where I don't want the bird to be yellow. I think yellow is the really beautiful color for this. It's gonna look very vibrant, and as the colors do dry, being contrasts specialized, these speed paints, they will catch all of the difference in the various shades of gray and white and black, right? So it's gonna look very beautiful. Just want the yellow to be a bit more intense. And I'm gonna leave that area as is in there, because I'm gonna make that spot in the center there brown. Right, we don't want the yellow to go everywhere, just around the chest area. But of course, we also don't want to have half feathers painted. Not too many of them. So that's why I'm following a certain line, as you can see around the neck here. It's like creating a collar, touching up all of the feathers that I need to. Of course, the brown will come on top and it's going to cover errors in case I've touched in places I shouldn't have. So I get those feathers there. And we're gonna do this section here on both wings with yellow. This time stay under the feathers, under the top layers, right? So that's gonna be for that side. And I'm gonna get it here as well. And this will create a beautiful pattern and a very beautiful design for the actual, but it will just break up all of that brown. We're gonna do the same for these feathers here. Of course, if you're really zealous and you want to make it look even better, you can touch the tips of all the yellow feathers with a bit of red. Just give it like a V angle, like so, right? So from here to here, and they will look extraordinary if you want to do that. I don't want to insist on that, and I want to keep it simple so that almost anyone can follow this, because at the end it will still look fantastic, trust me on that. Right, so around the face region here, I would have added one of these lines, but I think that the yellow on the beak is a bit too much for now. And the top area here is gonna be black. So once we do that, maybe we'll have some changes. I'm gonna do the underside of the feathers as well. I'll be right back when I finish all of them. Okay, so I'm gonna use the bigger brush this time because I'm gonna go cover the whole back of the creature. And we are using brown warrior skin. Let's see. Make sure it flows in between the feathers. And I've started here because I had too much paint on my brush, so that's why I started in the middle so I can actually control the paint better. And although this brush is large, it has a very good tip. Yeah, it's very small and it allows me to control where I'm going. It's probably gonna take 2 coats of this brown to get it to where I want it to be. But the color does look good. It is not as strong as Satchel Brown or Fire Drake. This one is a lighter brown and it allows a lot more of that contrast to show through. Let's Try to stay on the feathers and not touch the yellow, because trying to fix the yellow is going to be a lot more complicated. And of course, if you do not have the dexterity, just use a smaller brush. There's no shame in that. Sometimes even I go like, okay, I can't do that without a smaller brush, so I swap. You got to use the tools that you know you're accurate with. And that's why I do not tell you, hey, I'm using exactly this brush or that brush or whatever, because some people are just comfortable with the brushes that they've gotten used to. And when I'm getting way too close, I will swap. Like right about here, I'm gonna leave it. And I'm gonna come back with a smaller brush and do all of these smaller feathers without touching the yellow. Okay, so I'm gonna do all the brown. Let me just get in there where it's a bit more important for you to see. I'm just using the tip, very gentle, staying within that contour, getting it all over those feathers. Be patient, be gentle, take it easy, and you're gonna get there. There you have it, see? And now I'm gonna go off camera and finish the rest of the feathers that are going to be brown, and I'll be right back. Okay, so it had sufficient time to dry, and this is the result. And now we're gonna do the feathers here that are like eyebrows. We're gonna do those with grim black. I'm saying it right. I didn't say grim dark this time. So let's do it with this. And I'm gonna start from above. And this is why I like this handle, because I can just do that. Let's see. I need to adjust for a better angle. There we go. Underneath. That's better. I was thinking between this black or red, but I think red would have been a bit too much with the yellow and the brown. I think black keeps it in the camouflaged area, right? Red would have made it a bit too intense. I think it would have been too unnatural, especially since I intend to make the eyes a purple or blue. So I think black was the good decision here. This is not a very intense black. It's more of a off black, if you could say that, right? It's more of a very dark gray. There we go. I think that's good. Bit of a touch up there. So we gotta get underneath. There we go. That's much better. I think we're gonna do this area here as well with black. Just gonna need a bit more. There we go. Yeah, I think that really pops it. As you can see, the eye is really in your face now with that black on those feathers there. I'm gonna do the same on this side real quick. Yep, I think that's not bad at all. Gotta be very careful with that yellow underneath, and that's why I'm going super slow. And there you have it. Look at that. Look at how much that pops right in your face. Yeah, I think it's good. Right, using a little bit of the same black. Right, just a little bit. I'm gonna go on the claws, and only on this top part here I'm gonna do this. Not all of it, not the entire claw, just the top part there. For every single claw. See, something like this. And we're gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna come on top of that with bony matter, and it's gonna give a little bit of a varying definition there in the actual claws, making them look a bit different. Got a bubble right there from printing. It's not a problem. I think I've overdone this one a bit because the tip is just not listening to me right now. There we go, sufficient. Like so. I'm just gonna do it only for the top claws. And now we're gonna add some bony matter on top. It's probably gonna take several coats of bony matter to actually get to where I want this to go. But we'll see as we go how many coats it's gonna take. I might just end up making them black because I think they're gonna look better black, but we'll try it. See how much we can darken this bony matter color. which is just a very light brown. It tends to darken a bit more once it's dry, but not very much. Right, so I'm gonna give it the first coat and leave it, and then come back with the second one and probably a third coat as well. In the meantime, we deal with the lower claws here on the feet. Go. They're done. Almost. Now it's a bit better. Yep, that's a bit better. And we're gonna let it dry and come back with multiple coats. Okay, while we're waiting for the claws to dry, right, we're gonna do some of these bone elements on the base with the same color. I think this is like a horse of some sort. A skeleton of a horse. It's probably some fantasy creature because the bones are not exactly accurate, but it doesn't matter. It's all for a beautiful, beautiful design. I absolutely do not mind if it dries stained here and there. That's exactly what I'm aiming for with this. That's why I am not insisting on having a perfect coverage all over. And sometimes you'll just see me doing this and just leave it, because that variation shows way better than having a perfect color all over. I see. Get it from underneath where it is darker, and those ribs. There we go. Gotta take from this side, take it like this, so we can actually get in there underneath. It's not as important since nobody's gonna see it, but it's just my OCD. If I can see it, it means I need to paint it. Let's see, get in there, into the eye socket, and underneath it. Yep, I wanted you to see exactly how I go about this one, and I'm gonna do all the other ones off camera for the speed of it, and because they're a bit tinier and I would like to be a bit closer to them. So I gotta get these edges and the bone underneath there. There we go. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Nice. Looks interesting. see. I'm just gonna go in there for that one while I'm still on camera. All right, so you see me do one of the tiny ones as well. This is like a tiny feline skull, I think it is, based on the teeth and the format of the face. Maybe a canine, but I doubt it. This is some kind of a saber tooth here. And this owl beast would be massive compared to all of these other creatures based on how it is depicted. It would be absolutely massive. Got some skull there. I said I'm gonna do them off camera, but since I've already gotten into them, I'm just gonna do them so you can see as much as you can, because I appreciate the actual creature is in front of them. But as you can see me do, you should do the same, move around and try to get the best angle you can to get the bones done. Get in there. Yep, I think the skulls are done. I think I had one more somewhere on the base. Let me see real quick. So that one there is done. I have one more? No, I think that's it. So you can see the bones now. The aspect of them has changed. It will darken just a tad bit as it dries, but that's absolutely fine. Yep, I like it. There we go, I missed the spot there. Okay, I'm gonna let them dry. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm gonna do this section here around the eyes, and I'm gonna paint over the eye as well, because it doesn't matter, we're gonna change its color anyway. I'm using a maize yellow to tint that area. I think I got too much on my brush. There we go. That should be sufficient. Yep. There we go. And because it's too much, I'm gonna dry the brush on a piece of tissue, and then I'm gonna reabsorb that paint with the brush so that the eye socket doesn't get covered, because this paint tends to dry plasticky. As you can see, I'm pulling it over the black, but it's not an issue, right? It's not gonna be visible on the black. So there we go. And then we're gonna do the eyes with some purple swarm. I think I'm gonna use. Right, let's see. Let's see if I can get in there on camera. Do at least one of the eyes. There we go, something along those lines. Yeah, let's try this one as well. Yep, that looks a little bit better. Yep, there we go. Right, so the eyes are done, but because they are so dark, I'm gonna put some white dots, right, going towards the beak on both sides, so like the bird's looking forward, and then I'm gonna tint those with a different color. I have some acrylic titanium white here. This isn't a speed paint, this is a normal paint. And my aim is to put a very tiny dot. I think I might change the brush again. Let's try. Kind of like that on both sides. There we go. That second one came out a bit better. I'm just dotting gently, slowly modifying the shape. Don't worry about touching above, because it's not a problem. That's black and can always be corrected. Just trying to see exactly where the tip is. There we go. A bit better. And this one needs to be just a tad bit larger. Yep, and we're gonna make those probably red, but we'll see. Okay, let's tint the eyes with just a tad bit of red. Beautiful. Yep, I think now it looks perfect. Okay, so I'm back. Everything has dried, and I've also touched up the claws a little bit with a small dry brush and a bit of white. Right, this is normal acrylic white, right? I've just gone like this against the claws, here like so, and this one like so, right? And I've also touched up a little bit this and these ones here like so. Right, as you can see, there's a bit of a white highlight on this edge here. Same with the bones. I've gone over like this, and that's it. Right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to deal with this base. First, I think we're going to deal with the branch here, whatever this is, like a decayed tree stump, I think, I assume. So yeah, anyway, it's wood, so we're gonna paint it. And we're going to use Goddess Glow for this, which is a brown. It's light. It's comparative to the warrior skin, but it goes more towards red, right? So we're gonna use this for the tree. Okay, so I'm using a large brush. I'm gonna start from the top here, going down, like so. Get some more of that brown. And it may need 2 coats, maybe even 3, because this brown is very light, right? It's not super strong, but that's good because it means I can put a lot more and get it in the recesses. There we go. So we're gonna let it dry once we've covered the whole area, and come back with a few more passes. If it's pulling like it's doing here, just pull it with your brush, pull it upwards back into the recesses of the actual branch. That should sort out that problem. Needs to be a bit there, but not that much. There we go. That should be enough for the first pass. Whichever area we didn't touch, we will on the second or third pass, and that will create some variation. And it's not the same brown as that one, so there is a difference between them. There we go. We're gonna let it dry, and while it's drying, let's focus on the actual base. Let's do a passive ochre clay on the low terrain here and see how that looks when it's dry. I'm gonna avoid some of the bigger rocks because we're going to be using ashen stone on those. I think it looks very interesting. It's a very, very interesting color. Let's see, we need a bit more. There we go. That's a bit better there. Let's see if I can get in there. Okay. We gotta get underneath there. If you hear baby noises, it's because I'm watching my little one on the baby phone. Because she still wakes up during the night for food. And I like to know in advance when she's gonna wake up so that I can prepare her milk before she starts crying and screaming that she's hungry, right? There we go. Yeah, I like this color. I think a bit of touch of brown here and there on it afterwards is going to intensify it even more. But overall, I do like it. Should use it a bit more for terrain from now on. Okay, we've touched a few things, but it doesn't matter because we're gonna come with ashen stone on top, which is a gray. And that's gonna sort it a bit. And plus, if the rocks look stained with all of these bones around, it's not an issue. It actually adds, it doesn't subtract. So now with Ashen Stone, we're gonna go over the rocks. I'm still using the larger brush. We're gonna aim at the bigger ones first. The colors blend a bit at the base. Again, it's not an issue. Rocks and terrain are generally covered in the dirt around them, so you can even scoop a bit from the other colors and touch them up a bit. Like so, creating variations, eh? So it's not a bad deal or a deal breaker at all. The main focus of the piece is the actual owl bear or owl beast, whatever you want to call it. I think owl beast is a bit more appropriate because a bird is not a bear. They're not in the same family, not even close, not even related remotely. So calling it an owl bear is a bit off. There we go, we got some variation. Because the previous color wasn't perfectly dry, I've managed to manipulate it a bit and lift it a bit and combine it with the Ashen Stone. There we go, that's not bad. Here we're gonna do a bit more variation, because that variation is going to look like whatever came out of this skeleton and carcass has stained the rocks. And that's not bad, it's actually good. Touch that one up as well. I'm trying to push that brown back onto that branch. And then come back with some more of this Ashen Stone. Yep, and we're gonna let everything dry and we'll see the result. Okay, so now that the feathers are actually dry, we're going to use some of this ochre yellow. So you can use any generic acrylic ochre yellow. And I'm gonna use just a little bit of it on the palette here. And what we're going to do is we're going to dry brush the feathers just a tad bit. I'm gonna use a large brush. Yeah. It doesn't need to be a lot. It needs to be just a little bit. Yep. And this time when I say dry brush, I mean it. The brush is dry. It has not been wet before because I'm not worried about this this paint creating weird variations, because it's high viscosity and it has high pigmentation, and we're not doing a lot, just touching up the feathers a little bit, because I want the feathers to have an extra highlight. So it's not a lot, it's barely visible as a variation. And this is an optional step, you don't need to stress yourself with this. But if you want to go the extra mile, this brown does benefit from an extra highlight, because it is really good on the mid and really good on the deep, right, like the dark tones, but it's not very powerful when it comes to highlighting. And by doing this, we're adding just a tad bit of variation that's going to pop the feathers a bit more. And a bird of this kind would not be perfectly one color across, even over the specific areas, right? It would have a bit of variation in the feathers based on the age of the feathers and so on. So that's what we're doing here. We're just touching up a bit. And because it is a yellow, right? So this ochre yellow is mostly an yellow. I'm not bothered if I touch the yellow areas. It's not going to do anything to them. But as you can see, it does lift the feathers a bit, see? And it does give them that much needed highlight. And by doing this, we have created a much more vibrant texture on the actual owl. Just gotta be careful with how hard I dry brush, because I am known to go a bit too hard. Almost everything. So let's try not to this time. There we go. I think that is sufficient for the color variation. Maybe if I can get it there a bit more. There we go. That looks so much better. The knee over there, some extra. Brilliant. Yeah, that really makes it pop. I think it is so much better than it was previously. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Yep, I love it. I love it. It looks so much better now. Yep, and then there were glamour shots and the end of the video showcasing this. If you enjoyed it, leave me a like, subscribe if you want to see further content. I intend to put out more tutorials, but it's dependent on how much time I actually get to edit them. So I'm gonna try to do these recorded and done style tutorials where I don't edit too much out of them, so that you get to see the whole process, and it's also less taxating for me. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this, if you liked it, and what would you like to see painted next. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to wait for the showcase video and the glamour shots. Have a great day.